The Relations Inspector is a tool for inspecting data. While Unity's inspector is focused on the properties of a single object, this tool allows you to view and edit relations between objects. So the two complement each other nicely. In this video, I'll first show you how it works, how it can improve your development process, how it can be combined with existing tools, and finally, 2 use cases in actual games. So let's get started. Here we are looking at the weapon prefab for a roguelike game, which will unlock other weapons when the player picks it up. Both tools show that it references 2 other items, but the Relations Inspector shows the full picture of unlocking connections. It does so with the help of a custom inspector class, which tells it to use prefabs as nodes and these unlock references as edges. It can also customize the node widget UI and its context menu. Fold and expand can be used to hide and show subtrees. This allows you to work with large trees without killing Unity's performance. Now I'm going to rebuild the tree to show you how convenient the Relations Inspector makes it. The main advantage here is that you can immediately spot any wrong or missing links. With Unity's inspector alone, this would be a lot harder. Now let's move on to other kinds of relations. Say you want to delete an asset from your project, but aren't sure if it is still referenced by any of your scenes. Or an asset is included in a build and you don't know why. What you can do is find references in scenes and you will get all scene objects referencing your asset. In this case it's the main camera, but it doesn't show you how it references your asset, and it doesn't include other scenes. There is a custom inspector that shows you both these missing pieces. Here you can select between all inspectors that fit the current target objects. We pick Asset Reference, and now we see all passes of references that lead from a scene to our object. There's a second scene that uses it and an intermediate prefab. A similar use case is finding all assets that an object depends on. Let's use the most extreme example, a scene object. Unity offers this: select dependencies. And this time you do get everything, including the intermediate objects, but without any structure. So again, you can't see how exactly the scene is connected to those objects. The dependency inspector fixes that by showing all references between those objects. When a graph is too crowded, you can trim it with Fold and Expand. You can zoom with the mouse wheel, Control and Shift. Now let's find our dagger through the search bar. Here we go, all the matching nodes are selected, indicated by the blue outline. Again, we can see it is connected to the scene through the Game Manager prefab. Unity makes heavy use of linking objects, and there are plenty more such inspectors one could come up with, like an alternative scene view. But the Relations Inspector is not limited to Unity objects as nodes or references as edges. Here you see an inspector for type hierarchies. Each node is a type and every edge leads to a subtype. Let's inspect the subtypes of Unity's component class. You might see a type inspector similar to this being used by a future version of Script Inspector, which is an editor extension that allows you to write code inside Unity. Third-party tools can talk to the Relations Inspector through its API. They can select backends, set target objects, and even modify the graph. Another tool that might come with its own custom inspector in the future is Unimerge, which allows you to merge scene conflicts. The inspector could look something like this. Both scenes are merged into a single tree. Red nodes stand for objects that exist in only one of them, or are not identical in both scenes. Conflict resolution can be handled through the node context menus. Now let's look at how the Relations Inspector is used in real game projects. This is Space Impossible, a procedural space exploration game by Happy Polygon. They use a custom inspector for their item crafting system. Here's the recipe for a vortex cell with all its elements. The blue arrows mean that a lab is required. Let's look at the lab's own recipe. The lab item is called Fusion Gas Liquefier, which again requires ingredients and a lab. Using context menus we can browse the entire recipe book. And here's the hydrogen recipe, which, as you know, involves an isomatrix framer. Now imagine handling such graphs with just Unity's inspector. This is a game called Face Off by Isotex. It's using a custom inspector for AI decisions. Units can move, attack, and be deployed to the grid. The AI applies these actions to the current grid to find the best next move. The search tree can have hundreds of nodes, so it's hard to debug with the usual tools. Here it is. Nodes are game states and edges are player actions. The node's radius and color indicate its score and how often it was visited during the search. Selecting a node will show its game state in the tool window on the right. Now we can quickly single out the promising branches and inspect what actions they contain. Being able to navigate the AI search space like this helped a lot with debugging and tuning the algorithm. Creating your own inspector can be as simple as adding 2 attributes to your data. If you want to customize it, check out the examples and utility code contained in the package and the documentation on GitHub. Please check out the free demo, and thanks for your time.